Hello, everyone. Kyra Schaefer here, and I'm with Susan Ray.
Hey, hey.
And we have been in the personal development field for probably 20 years or so, and combined 350,000. So
We're live way more than that.
Yeah. So we're just going to start from there. Like I'm not going to give you all the credentials and stuff because we are where we are. Okay. Because the more you get into this, you get to 10, 20, 30, 350,000 years into this stuff. Credentials start to mean less and less. And just what you say is who you are, and that's enough. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. So Susan Ray, we're going to do something really fun today because I've been thinking about this for a little while, and she was already doing this. But we're going to look at some main topics in kind of life, right? And I took a couple of these things from Dear Prudence, just to give credit there, to look at different perspectives. Whether it's from a worldly view, a spiritual view, of what would love do from, all different angles. And we're just going to flow through whatever kind of comes up because spirit may be coming through more in that moment, or, love may be coming through in another moment. And generally they're pretty much the same, but love in the world is different from the upper echelons of, ascended mastership. Ascended mastership is like, you're fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. We'll just try to keep the ego out. We'll let other wonderful, fabulous things come through.
Yes. And the key word there is try. Right. So the first one that we found was, I loved it so hard. Because this is so key, and we'll look at it from different perspectives, but this has certainly happened in my life, and anybody who has struggled with a difficult childhood, this is for you guys. All right. So the question was, my fiance cut off his entire family. Red flag, right? And for context here, the father was an abusive alcoholic in the fiance's childhood, who had put him in the hospital a couple of times. And the mom and the sister, so the mom still wants to be is still in a relationship with his dad. And the sister also would like to have a relationship with her brother. And the mom wants to have a relationship with her son. And he is like, absolutely no way, no go. Even though the dad has stopped drinking. Okay, sorry. I'm so excited about what's going to come out here. Should the wife consider this a red flag? And by the way, the fiance and the husband to be is very warm, loving, open, kind-hearted to everyone. So outside of his family dynamic, he's great, right? So let's go. Susan, do you have any thoughts on that from any perspective that seems to be coming up right now?
Yeah. The first thing that comes in for me is just always intention, right? The same action from love, guidance from source, might be, I'm going to love myself enough to pull away from my family, versus the same action pulling away from my family driven by ego or fear mind is, F them, I am out. They don't get me, la la la, right? They don't deserve me. They're horrible. So my thought about it would be for the fiance to be considering his energy around it, right? Is he riled and angry when he talks about it and it's coming from a place of punishment and love withdrawal? Or is it like, no, it doesn't contribute to my happiness and I don't want that toxicity in our upcoming marriage and right, stuff like that. So that would be the first place I look if I'm her.
Yeah. And to me, if somebody is harboring that amount of resentment, they probably wouldn't be very warm and open and loving and kind, because they're still in conflict with their choices. Yes. Right. So he doesn't seem
Right.
like he's in much conflict with his choices. Now, it also mentioned that the wife to be came from a very well-adjusted household without any trauma drama or anything like that. And so
Right.
for her, this looks very weird and off-putting,
And
you know?
scary, probably, right?
Right.
Like, what am I getting myself into?
Yeah. But here's the
Yeah.
deal. And this is, I'm being pulled to this too, is that what if what if there was no trauma drama? What if there's nothing there? Like, and
Yeah.
he's just making a choice that feels better to him to
Sure.
move closer to what he feels connected with. You know, Jesus left Bethlehem.
Yes,
You know,
I love it.
Jesus was like, no, mama, I love you. I
Right.
love you, Dad. I love you, Joseph. Right. But I got a pull to me to do something different. And, you know, to me, I think that there's something in there too. It's like, you could have that trauma, or you don't have to. And can you still be allowed to make your choice?
I love
What do you think
that.
about
I love that you bring that in, Kyra, because that is when we know that we can make a decision because we want to, right? Because I'm being led to not be in a relationship with you anymore, then I can more easily stay out of victimhood and blame, right? I don't have to be attacking them and making them bad and wrong. I can just be like, I don't know. I wish I could, but I don't want to.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
We're
Yes.
allowed to make our choices, and we don't have to make people wrong in them. You know, we get
Yes.
to decide if we want to go to that party, or we get to decide if we want to go to that hangout. I mean, it can be little teeny weeny things, you know, or,
Right.
you know, I've had a friend for a long time. Let's say I've had this friendship for a long time, and suddenly there's just no communication. And is that okay? And yeah, because
Right.
they're making that choice. And I'm saying, make your choice, and we'll come back together when the time is right. So what do you think this fiance should do beyond just double checking and seeing, is this out harboring resentment towards them and you're actually silently suffering? Or
Right.
is it, you know, no, I'm just making a loving decision for myself?
Yes.
What beyond that do you think she
I think just
would do?
continue to support him in his decisions. You know, the other thing that dropped in, as you said, making a loving choice for himself is in my brain was, and for the relationship. So notice he may have an experience of protecting and providing for her by providing a safe space away from these people he's protecting her from, right?
Yes.
Then we can
Yes.
reframe in our mind, not only is he strong and making choices for his health and happiness, but he's also caring about me and my happiness. So now he's my hero too, right? Not
Oh, I
only is
love that.
he damaged, he's not only is it not a red flag, he's actually really going up a notch now, right? When we
Yeah.
think of it like that.
Yeah. I really love that, because it's like, ooh, he is being my king. Yeah. He's really
Yeah.
being my king. He's not pulling me into where my world was very well adjusted, and he's pulling me into a situation that could be potentially dangerous, because we don't know when dad is going to potentially start back again, or you know, we don't know that that's not going to be a trigger for him to have that relationship coming back into the experience. Because even though it's like, well, I'll talk to this parent but not this parent,
Yeah.
if they're together,
Yeah.
no, because that's also damaging to their relationship too, because that they're a cohesive unit, you know.
That's
and to
right.
be like, well, he picked you but not me.
Right. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. And then depending on the level of work, right? Alcoholism is the symptom, not the problem.
Yeah.
So depending on how sober he is, the dad, all the dynamics could still be there if he never picked up a drink, right? All of the emotional and verbal and all the imprinting and yeah.
Oh God, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. It was like, oh, you can take the symptom away, but is he replacing that symptom with something else? And could there be a river of anger still just waiting to come out at any time? And so to me, you know, if I were just a hard fast, this is
it.
my fiance, the husband to be, you're right on. Keep doing you. Yeah,
Sure.
keep doing you. If it's like Susan said, you're harboring resentment, you're harboring you know, pain and fear and anger and all this stuff, you need to get that addressed. That doesn't mean you go back and talk to them, but you do address that kind of thing. If you're doing it fully in love and you're protecting your queen, God bless you. I think that's fantastic. Fiance, wife to be, let him make his choices. You know, he's doing the best that he can. And, you know, as things progress, you know, depending their age and different things like that, and as dad heals, he might start to feel that draw to come back to the family. But that's not your place to determine that for him. And God, I'm so grateful that you had a wonderful, well-adjusted family.
I know.
I wish that for everyone.
Thank you. Amen. And I love that, Kyra, that you said that part too, because that was the other piece. It's like support him in his choices going forward. This may not be a forever thing. So today it's like this, and I'm on board with that, honey. And then if tomorrow it's like that, I'll be on board with that too. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And unless you're not, you're allowed to make your own choices. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Absolutely. Good point. Yeah.
If you need to find a husband who has had a well-adjusted family,
yeah, you're worthy of that too.
Go after it.
No settling in our world. We don't settle.
That's right. That's right. Good. All right.
Thank you. Love that one. That was great.
Well done. That's great. All right. Yeah. So this is another one of those things, and I feel like it's like we're in a choice vibe here, you know, allowing people their choices. So this one is, my niece refuses to try my solution for her poorly behaved children. What's the quickest way to unhappiness? Tell people what to do with their kids.
Expecting people to act like me, think like me, or make the choices I would make will always lead to my unhappiness. Really,
absolutely, right? Absolutely. So some context here. When Auntie is around, the kids are more well behaved. When Auntie is around, when the kids are just with Auntie, things are fine, because she has discovered a way to help them to repress their emotions.
There, I said it.
Yeah, there I said it. To get them through punishment, consequences, all that kind of stuff. To help the kids be more behaved and more to her liking. I'm really slanting this, am I not? Okay, let me just say the facts.
She knows how to make the kids more convenient.
Yes. Be different. So I love you. Yeah. It's more, let me try to not have it under my own perception of my own filter. Yeah. So let me reel it back. When kids are around Auntie, they're more well behaved. When it's around her niece and the kids, the kids are poorly behaved. They're tantrums. They're hitting each other. They're being violent. And the niece doesn't do anything. Auntie steps in and says to the kids, hey, cut it out, whatever she does to squelch them. And then the niece isn't doing those same tactics that Auntie's doing, so the kids continue to be more poorly behaved around the niece alone. And then when the kids come back to Auntie has to readjust and connect and correct them again, so that they're back to towing that line. And then and she kind of just doesn't know what to do. Do I just write them all off? You know, just don't take care of them, don't hang out with them. Like, what should I do? Because it's harder and harder for her to, you know,
stay happy, it sounds like.
Yeah. And say yes to those kinds of engagements or activities. So Susan, what are you pulling there for you? Obviously you've heard my opinions.
Well, I think that to try to, like I said, we'll bring in the balance. So to give the aunt some grace, the aunt may be, you know, we're kind of poking at her a little bit, saying it's inconvenient. I want them to way. But this may very well be coming from a place of love, because she knows these children need to learn how to act in the world to be successful in the world. I cannot be punching my colleague, right? So it may be a very
generally frowned upon.
This may be a very loving place the aunt is coming from. So we'll give her that.
Yep.
And then we have to go with, I think, this place of, you know, when we have an opinion that's not been asked for. So unsolicited advice will always feel like an attack. No matter how well-intentioned it is, I'm going to hear that I'm doing it wrong, right? That you know better. I'm failing somehow, depending on our filter, right? How healed we are. But it sounds like the niece may be calling it in that way. So then I think the other thing, we just go to those filtering questions for when we're about to speak. Is it love or fear? Right? What's driving my desire? And does it need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? Is now the right time? Can the person hear it? And is it loving? And if those things aren't a yes, then teaching the niece doesn't help. You can teach her, but she can't learn.
Yeah.
Those,
and from the niece's, and totally. From the niece's perspective, we might think, oh, well, what a bad mom for not correcting her children or asking them to toe the line or whatever. But, and it's 3 kids. So it's a lot, it's a lot. And, we can easily kind of have a separation in our life where we get to come home and have our downtime and put our feet up and relax, and with 3 kids, there's no relaxing, there's no downtime, there very rarely is any peace. There could be other things happening in her life. How come the husband isn't being talked to about this as well? Why is it all burden on the niece to make that change? So from that perspective, and maybe it's more of an ego perspective perhaps, but it's really just trying to find the compassion for where the niece truly is right now. Is she in a place where she can even make that adjustment right now, because she could be drained emotionally, mentally, physically? What would be a better thing for the niece? And I think that could be a good question as well. From the auntie's perspective, what can I do to make her life better? Yeah. Can I bring a dinner over and just drop it off and leave it? Can I, take her out for a girls' day and, someone else watch the kids? Can I build a connection with her so that it makes it more of an open relationship instead of a, you need to do this, you need to do that kind of thing, right? Because I feel uncomfortable around your children. Is it, I mean, I love to ask these kind of questions, because is it that these kids are fine 90% of the time, right? But auntie comes around and all of a sudden they lose their mind.
Right. Because they like auntie's attention and they're doing all this.
Yes. And they're play acting for her and getting even that negative attention that can be really fun and yummy for kids at times. Right. Is that really, because kids do not misbehave 100% of the time. It just doesn't happen, and so because kids need downtime, at least they're asleep for a certain they fall asleep, and that's what makes you
8 hours, something like that. I love that. Yeah.
And I really like, because like Eckhart Tolle, he said, he would sit at the bench, the power of now, he'd sit on the bench, and he was just in this bliss moment, and he was watching these ducks lose their mind on each other, but they would flap their wings and flap them, flap them, flap them, flap them, flap them, release that energy that they had, and then they would just, float along. So maybe these kids are finding an outlet to express the frustration and the stuff that they're feeling. And niece is like, I'm too tired to deal with that. Or she might be like, yeah, and this will wear them down. They will calm down. And they will, so let them flap their wings. Is that okay? Can you get okay with that? Because I have a feeling or sense, I know at least within me, that when I find peace with even the most chaotic moment, the chaos starts to subside because I'm not in it.
Falls away, right?
Yeah. And I think that's more of that spiritual side or approach of the, what would
love do,
spirit do?
Yeah.
Find peace.
And that was the other piece that was coming in for me as we were speaking about this, is like, everyone's getting exactly what their soul needs. Like there's no mistake in any of it, right? So these kids apparently need a mom that doesn't wrangle them and an aunt that wrangles them. Like apparently that's what they signed up for, right? So we can trust it all, which I think when we're like, nothing bad is happening. Even in, I'm going to challenge everybody watching this, I think you're in alignment with me on this, even the most horrific things we see, they're going to serve a purpose. There's going to be a gift. and everyone watching this, if you can tell me one horrific thing that happened in your life that you haven't seen a gift in, I will be mind blown. Because I think if you haven't seen the gift, it's just not long enough yet. Right?
Yeah, right. You're just not quite out of it far enough. Yeah.
Something always comes through as a gift. So I think for these kids, that's another healing balm that we can put on. It's like, there's nothing really wrong.
Yeah.
Nothing really wrong. They're okay. They're kids.
They're okay. They're okay. They're lovable.
When my daughter was 2 years old and biting kids at daycare, I would cry. I mean, I would sob about my kid biting these other kids. And my husband would say, honey, she's not going to be 16 years old still biting people. Like,
Probably.
right? Like,
Unless they ask.
She's not going to keep hitting people. Like, really, it's probably going to be something that gets taught out of them in other environments. If it doesn't get taught out of them.
You know, it reminds me of a story that I'm just going to share because I think it's awesome. Probably bad, but probably not. So I was the kid that would tie a towel around their neck, you know, and I was probably like, had to have been 5 at least because I was going to kindergarten and the school bus was picking me up. So I had a school stop, but it was close to home. So like my mom was sitting on a stoop and the neighbor was sitting on a stoop and that kind of thing. And so I had my towel around my neck because I was being Wonder Woman, like who doesn't, right? And so, yeah, so I was running around and I was so happy and so everything. And this kid decided that he was going to intentionally pull my cape down, and it jacked me back and it threw me on the ground, right? This little boy. And it jacked me on the ground and I like probably lost consciousness for a minute.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Popped back up, right? And I was like, So I don't know. Mom didn't tell me if I cried or anything like that, but you know, I mean, startling. So
you remember all these years later.
So now here's the interesting thing is that my memory was long even at that age. So if you do me wrong, I'm going to remember and I'll bide my time. So the next day, which is about the length of any 5-year-old's.
5-year-olds, yeah.
I had my steel lunchbox because we had steel lunchboxes back then. Okay, they weren't the flimsy little, you know, these were heavy, right? Yeah. And I remember feeling the weight in my hand. But my mom and the girl and the boy's mom were opposite sides of each other. I took that lunchbox and I slammed him across the fucking head. I just looked at the other mom and was like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Yesterday, what you gonna do? You know? And then we got on the school bus and went to school and it was fine.
Right, so these kids, it looks like they're massacring each other, but they're freaking fine, right?
We're just, it's a comeuppance. Like, you know, if you don't get your warning shot over the bow, you are going to get it right in the bow.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, you know, we're working it out. You know, when I think, I just think they're working it out. They're figuring things out. They're seeing what works, what passes, what doesn't, you know, they're figuring out how their emotions work too. And I love kids for that. You know, I really do. Can it be annoying? Can it be trying? Can it be difficult for an adult? Of course it can. But at the same time, we don't know what they need in that moment. And sometimes it is discipline and sometimes it's just letting them be. Yeah. So
that's cool. Sometimes, always it's more love, whatever form it takes.
Always. And I love the idea of having well-established consequences, whether they're natural consequences, like that little boy with the lunchbox across his head, whether it is predetermined consequences. Hey guys, and I can just hear this niece. Hey guys, we're going to see your aunt. Please, for my sanity. And then they get in front of it and it's like all let loose.
Forget it. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I like that too, that you brought that in. It can be really helpful to kids to create a safe container by having cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. Remember, no emotion, not yelling, not punishing. But remember, we said if you hit each other again, we're not going to be able to go to McDonald's for ice cream or whatever it is.
Right, right. Man, ice cream, McDonald's ice cream. When I was a kid, that was the great neutralizer. Like that, if that was on the board, dude, I am towing that in line. I mean, that line, I am on it. I am treading it. It is happening. Still do. Like if I know that Todd and I are going to the McDonald's to get me a Sunday, it is. I'm a good girl.
I'm gonna be nice, so we still get to go. That's right. Yes. Don't you want to spend time with me, honey? Yes, I've been very loving this morning.
Do you need anything? Do you need
Right.
anything?
Right. Is it time?
You? My girlfriend used to say, because I used to keep kids and stuff, and I've done a lot of work with kids over the years in practice. And she would say to me, she would go, you know what? I think you would just look at kids and they would just calm down. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I have the mama look. It's also called resting bitch face. So I just kind of look like that most of the time. But
whatever you call it, it works. I like it.
It's like, all right.
Last
Are we ready to move on from that one? Do you have anything else to say about that? All right. Okay, so this is going to be out of context because I couldn't find the context. My brother used to be the life of the party. Then he met his new wife. What do I do? We can make up context if you want.
I mean, first, I just want to say nothing. It's not your freaking business if he's the life of the party or not. What does that have to do with you? Get in your lane. I want him to see the life of the party because it made the party more fun for me. Well, not your business. Go get fun somewhere else. Right.
Right.
But as you said, we have no context. So maybe she's worried. Maybe she thinks the relationship is abusive. Maybe, right? It could be.
Right. It's a brother and brother. It's a brother. So it's two guys. Okay. So they grew up their whole life, probably beating shit out of each other like those other kids.
Right. And now they're best friends and they play together.
Yes. Right.
And the new girlfriend took away the playmate.
Yes, that's right.
Maybe.
Yeah. And I think that this happens a lot in relationships where you have a good friend or a sibling or something like that. They get married and all of a sudden they take their energy away from the relationship, not intentionally. It's just that they have a new focus, right?
They have other obligations, responsibilities, interests, right? It's not all burdensome.
So my question would be maybe to the brother that feels left out or is not having the party feeling, which is really, what is it really? Like, I feel left out. I feel alone. You took my buddy away. I don't feel like I have as much fun because he's not around. I'm not feeling the love, the connection, because he was my source.
That's right. I don't matter. I'm not as important as she is. Yeah. I'm not being picked. Because we're never upset about what we think we're upset about, right? Right.
Yeah. It's not he's the life of the party. It's I know I feel a little empty because he's not here. Because I chose him to be that loving force in my life. So what do I do with this when that thing that I made my source is now gone or shifted?
Yeah. Available less, whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you say to people who might do that?
Well, a few things. One, I would be talking in the world, right? If we're just going straight world, diversify your sources. It's fine to have, I say, a favorite flavor. My fiance is my favorite flavor. Chocolate chip cookie dough. That's him to me. And
he is one of my favorite flavors too. I mean, I just think about Matthew and he makes me happy. Todd had a full-blown conversation with his friend Josh about Matthew, and they just did a love fest about him and how cool he is. So he's pretty great. He's pretty great. I would diversify my source with him too.
We both have really great kings. We're lucky there. So then it's easy to double down, right? And exist on only that diet of love. And that's okay. We're not doing anything wrong. We just, if that happens where the person's less available, or maybe our partners are empty themselves, or they get sick, or they go on a trip, right? Like they're starting a new business, whatever it is, we need to just flow, right? Diversify, reach out to other people. And the one thing that I get a lot is when I say that about diversifying your source of love, a lot of people will be like, well, there's not that many people that can love me, or I don't know that many people, or I don't have that many friends.
Oh,
And I always say, it doesn't have to be people. Where do you experience fulfillment? What lights you up? Like a lot of my clients, it's nature. If I go out to nature, that for them brings an experience of being loved by Mother Earth, Source, whatever it is, the wind, the trees, the rocks, right?
Yeah.
So find those things. And I'd be asking this guy, if he came to a session with me, I'd be like, okay, well, here we're going to start. Give me your list of how you fill up, right? It may be sports, it may be prayer, it may be dancing, singing, movies, like whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I remember
source and then trust. Go ahead, bring it.
No, sorry. I remember when I was working with you years ago, and you were coaching me on this. You said, I want you to become a mad scientist when it comes to getting filled up, instead of just going, working off of what you've done before, because what if those things fall away, those interests fall away, and I've got a little PTSD, a little bit of ADHD, and so I can become fixated, on one thing, and I'll fixate on it so hard. I'll do it hours and hours and hours at a time, and then when I'm done, I'm done. Like I stop having interest whatsoever in it, and it almost becomes a burden to even do it again. Until there's a long enough period of time. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I can pick back
I like
up.
that. Isn't that sad?
But I need to have multiple fixations.
Right. So you can just jump tracks, right? I can continue this full high vibe experience in a different way, or with a different person, sometimes it is people. I totally agree. And I feel like for me, I always identify that pattern in myself as my bulimia, right? I would eat the same thing, right? Like I get on these binge purge cycles.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I can easily binge on something I adore. That's good for me until I've squeezed all the juice. It's like chewing the sugar out of the gum, spit it out, get a new piece.
Yes. 100%. Yes. Me. That's me. I will suck the life out of something.
Right, exactly. And yay, if we're squeezing the sponge that's full of love and joy, right? Because
yes,
is to squeeze the drama sponge that's soaking in the pail of drama water, and we don't need to do that. Right?
I love that, because that can easily shift over, because he's already in a kind of blameful mindset, whether he's going into that blameful mindset of my brother is wrong because he's choosing his wife over me, or the wife is wrong because she's taking him away from me.
Right.
And then what can we naturally do as humans? We don't hold guilt, we protect it. So we'll go to all the other family members and all the other tribe members and be like, he's not picking me, but it's not in a victim way. It's in he's not picking me. It's more in a, what is that bitch doing?
Right.
She thinks she can take him away from me, or whatever.
Right.
Or she's abusive. She's holding him hostage somehow.
Right. And what if she is? Right? Like,
it might be a great hostage situation. Right? He may be his brother may be loving it. Love hostage. Don't look that up online, probably.
May get some shocks to your senses.
Woo! You need stemming. You need stimulation. You'll definitely probably find some.
Going sideways. And the brother, again, right? Everyone's getting exactly what they need, right? The brother who feels abandoned has an opportunity to look at any wounds he has there about needing to be chosen and get some healing with, for me, it's healing with source. I've already been picked. I don't need to be picked by any one person. I'm chosen by the one, right? I'm part of the one. I'm loved. That's all there is. Yeah. So it's an opportunity for him to get healing, and then also for the brother to experiment with being in flow, right?
Mhm.
The one thing I want to say is that I feel like in these situations, the warrior path, right, is for the brother who feels abandoned to flow love to that brother and not need or want anything. When I started my relationship and I went underground for 6 months, man, I love hard. I am a love addict. I do identify as a love addict, and it works really well in my relationship because we both tolerate a lot of intensity. So, I mean, I just went underground, man. And then when I popped my head back out, the people that could love me were like, hi, right?
There you are.
These, like, where have you been? And I'm not your friend anymore, right? So the warrior path to me is when people float out of our lives to just hold space for them to come back, for them to choose their way, and to not make it mean that we're being rejected. Him wanting time with his new partner is not a rejection of the brother. It's literally physics. Like, I have this much time in the day and I want 23 hours with her.
Yeah, you know? That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It's that same, what you were saying earlier, that same, like, oh shoot, now I forgot it.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's fine.
The same checking though, probably, right? Like, it's a flow.
Yeah, it totally is. It totally is. And this is what it was. You don't have to make them wrong for you to be right. You know, you don't have to make them wrong to feel like you want to be loved by them. And, you know, and it's okay. You know, it's okay. You know, I've seen experiences where, you know, people will say something like, you know, to their brother or, you know, sister or something, and say, I really wish you would have been more a part of my life right now. And I think if somebody can get really honest about it, then that's great. The life of the party bit, though, I do want to address that, because that could be some behaviors, you know, like I'm getting really, really drunk, really tore up. And it's really fun for my brother to see me be really tore up and everything. And my wife is saying, you know what? That's not going to work for me in our relationship. I need you to choose your health over this experience. And I had that within my relationship. I was in severe burnout at an old corporate job that I had years and years and years ago. And I was drinking every night. Like, it was what was happening. I didn't know how to really stop it. But my husband said to me, he said, I don't know how much longer we're going to be together if you keep going this way. And because there's an after effect. Yeah, life of the party for a couple of hours, super fun. But guess what comes after? Either way over drinking or way over partying, going way into the early mornings, waking her up, you know, being completely hungover, absolutely useless the next day, feeling like crap, being depressed, and you're just waiting for that next time where that you can relieve that feeling and all those feelings with being the life of the party, because you're getting that need met there. And so for me, it was a absolute yes, my relationship with you is more important than whatever this coping mechanism is. It's unhealthy.
Yes.
And so if and his brother isn't seeing maybe the after long-term effects of being the life of the party, and it's actually his wife truly loving him to say, I can't do this, honey. You know, I can't. And that's good.
And in your example, Todd didn't say, you better change or else.
No.
He said, I don't know how long I can do this. Like, that's a loving thing. I'm just being honest, right? Yes. About where I'm sitting. And I think that is so kind-hearted and loving and fair, right? Yes. To not blindside our partner because we've stuck to this resentment all this time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could be, I had this story as you were wrapping up that thought there. I was like, maybe he feels so loved by his new partner that he doesn't need the behavior. Maybe she didn't say a single word, but he's just like so happy now he hasn't had to get drunk and get all that praise, even if he's not drinking, right? If he's just really out there, it's all that clinging and praise seeking. But now he feels so full and loved in connection with his woman that he doesn't have to do that, right? To feel full. I'm just making up something else, right?
I love it. No, that's exactly, I think that's totally right. You know, I mean, that could definitely be the case.
in other
because
ways.
that amount of love for someone to say, I don't know how this is going to play out if we keep going, and then them having to find a new way other than imitation love from praise, power, safety, all that pleasure, all that stuff to just go, whew, I have been really empty a really long time, and now I'm feeling so loved by this person because she really sees me.
Yeah.
How beautiful is that? I mean, yeah, it's all the different perspectives of what's really happening. So my advice to this guy would be find ways to be loving, and show up with a kind heart, and don't backbite.
Right?
And find out where the places are in you, not so much that external thing. Is it just because you miss your brother? Yeah. And just tell him, I miss you, baby. I miss you, brother.
It's okay to miss them and to say that. I always like to say, and no pressure, right? I miss you and no pressure to solve my problem of missing you. I just want you to know I love you so fucking much.
Yeah.
Damn, so hard.
And you do that a lot with our texts and stuff is you'll say, no response necessary, just want to say I love you very much, I think you are the best, and then whatever, and then I'm like, no response necessary, hold on. I've got a response. I love you really back so hard.
Great to just be in a position of choice, right?
Yeah.
And the other selfish thing about no response is it's us going ahead of our ego. So if the person doesn't respond and ego's like, see, they don't love you. It's like, I told her not to. Right?
I made that choice preemptively.
It's just like, right, if we know the rules, we can play the game. If I know how to manage my ego and win against those fear threats, then I'm happier, period, the end.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. So, let's see. So are you ready to wrap it up?
Yeah.
I think this is awesome. This is our first attempt of just kind of doing this idea, and I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I'm going to intend that people got a lot of value and it was really fun for them because it was for us, right?
But no response necessary.
Yeah, no pressure if you didn't.
You don't even have to like or subscribe unless you feel a really strong draw.
If you feel led, I want you to follow your guidance.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. There is so much language that Susan and I just use that we have worked on and learned over the years. So if some parts of this are confusing, please put in the comments wherever you see this to get clarification. We've done a lot of study and we have a similar language around this stuff. So do not hesitate if you do have a question, or even if you are like, oh, but I would have done it this way. I'd love to hear about it. Yeah, because then we can address that, also.
Yeah. And that's something we were saying right before we started taping. I was like, there's a million problems in the world and a billion ways to solve them, right? So it's like, we're just presenting ours off the top of our head, no scripting, and this is what Spirit's bringing in. So yeah, I'm sure other people have other ideas.
Yeah. So anything else you'd like to mention before we close?
No, thank you so much. I'd love to do it again. So yeah.
Do you want to tell anybody how to get in touch with you if they need to get in touch with you?
Yeah, Susan Ray Life Coach at gmail.com. Susan Ray is RAE. Susan Ray Life Coach at gmail.com. Perfect.
And mine is, you can go out to my website, Kyra-Schaefer.com, Kyra-Schaefer. And hey, we'll see you again.
Bye, y'all. Thanks.
Bye, y'all.